Senator from Anderson is recognized on a point of personal interest. Please give him your attention.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to ask, Mr. President, unanimous consent to distribute some literature.
Without objection.
And if I could get
So
some
ordered.
help passing these out.
Yes, sir. So,
Mr. President, what I'm passing out and what I'm going to say, I especially want the senator from Orangeburg, Senator Hutto, to hear what I'm fixing to say. It'll be the first time I've ever said this from this well. I want to compliment the Obama administration on their hard work in the get a picture. Let me say it again. I want to compliment the Obama administration and his Department of Labor on some very disturbing news about our own Department of Employment and Workforce. Mr. President, in 2012, the Department of Employment and Workforce dished out on improper payments over $54 million. That's in 1 year. Now, we all know that our employers pay unemployment taxes. And we all know that when an employee loses their job at no fault of their own, then they are deserving of unemployment benefits. But Mr. President, members of the Senate, I find it offensive that this department could give out over $54 million in circumstances that should have never happened. That should have never happened. I got a call from a media reporter yesterday, and he asked, he asked the department, what's your response? What's your response that your department has given out over $54 million in fraudulent payments? And they said, well, that's good news. That's good news because last year it was $80 million. If you look at the chart on what I handed out, my color printer was broke, so I had to do it in black and white. But if you see chart 3, it says chart 3-year IPIA data. That top number is 2012. Improper payments were 13.83%. That next bar is 2011, and improper payment was 17.94%. That 17.94% was $80 million. And the thing is, members, that this agency simply does not care because the money's not theirs. They do what they want to. They simply send a bill to the employers in all of our districts, who I'm sure contact us on a regular basis and say, listen, I can't expand my business. I can't hire new people because my unemployment taxes are so high. Now, another interesting thing about this chart is in 2010, the 12.98% in improper payments was before we supposedly reformed the agency. So things are getting worse. Things are not getting better. If you look at the overpayment recovery chart to your right, overpayments established. Out of the $54.5 million in overpayments, they've only identified $19.5 million. And out of that $19.5 million, they've only recovered 50% of that. So they've only gotten back a fraction of the improper payments. Here's one problem that we have is if a claimant is receiving unemployment benefits and they take a job and they continue to draw those unemployment benefits, the only penalty is they just pay back the money. There's nothing else. They don't go to jail. They don't get a fine. I had an email from a constituent who knew somebody that was working while drawing unemployment benefits, and this individual said, it doesn't matter. If they catch me, all I got to do is pay it back.
Senator from Greenville, what purpose do you rise? Senator, you yield for question?
Yes, sir, I'd be glad.
Senator yields.
Senator, did you know that I don't have a whole lot of money? And Senator, did you also know that I can take a nickel and rub it into a dime?
Senator, I'm not aware of how much money you have, but I am aware that you could probably rub a nickel into a dime.
Thank you, Senator. And did you know also that last year I put a bill up in the House, and we actually had a hearing on it, that would require the Department of Workforce, Department of the DEW,
DEW, yes, sir.
to screen all their applicants through E-Verify to assure that we weren't giving unemployment benefits to illegal immigrants? Did you know I did that?
I was not aware of that. I wish I was. That's an excellent idea, and I would imagine there are some of those dollars into this $54.5 million.
I would certainly think so, Senator. Now, we did have a hearing on it, and they said that they used a different system, which personally I don't trust as well. They used the SAVE system. The system they used costs 25 cents per hit. E-Verify costs nothing.
That sounds typical of that agency. They choose to use the more expensive route. That's
Yes.
At least they're consistent.
Yes. And I just wondered if you knew that I would be willing to look into this matter again with you. I mean, there's all kind of things going on over there. I think we would be appalled if we got to the bottom of how the money is being doled out. And I can only rub so many nickels into so many dimes, Senator.
Well, Senator, I appreciate you bringing that issue to my attention. Let me tell you something about this agency. A private vendor of auditing services approached the agency, and they did a little sample audit for free. They did a little sample audit for free. They found inmates incarcerated drawing unemployment benefits. They found out-of-state residents that never worked in South Carolina drawing unemployment benefits. They found children who obviously weren't old enough to work drawing unemployment benefits. Believe it or not, they found dead people drawing unemployment benefits. Now, you would think, well, my goodness, if this vendor can find this kind of stuff, we need to hire them and let them go through all the books, right? That's what I would have done. Oh, they said, no, we're not interested. Put my fingers in my ears, closed my eyes, not interested. This firm went back to do, Senator from Florence, and said, we'll do another free audit, won't charge you anything, and then maybe you'll reconsider. Maybe you'll reconsider our services. Oh, no, not interested. Not interested. We contacted the agency and said, why in the world didn't you consider using the services of this vendor? We never got an answer. And Chairman of LCI, we never got an answer, but I did ask the question, and I do appreciate you allowing me to work with this agency. I did ask this question last week. Why in the world would you not use something that these audits are probably expensive, but when you consider how much money it could save, it'd be pennies on the dollar? Well, they said, well, we have our own internal auditing team. And I'm thinking, okay, this internal auditing team couldn't find $80 million of improper payments in 2011, and they couldn't find 54.5 improper payments in 2012, so it seems to me, why don't you scratch this internal
Richard,
audit?
what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, point of order, Rule 13, that's changing our new rules for this year of time.
All right, sir.
Mr. President, has my time expired?
Check right now. Yes, the time has expired. I've sustained.
I apologize, Mr. President. I was getting on kind of roll, and I just didn't understand how time was flying.
I mentioned it during the rule change. It would be a problem, but that's what they wanted.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to continue just a couple of minutes to finish my remarks.
All right. Is there objection to the senator continuing for a couple of minutes, means 2 minutes? Is there an objection? There being none, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the Senate. I appreciate you letting me go on for a couple of more minutes. The real issue we have here is there is no interest. There is no interest in finding fraudulent claims in that agency. We rank number 5th in the nation over a 3-year period. We rank 5th in the nation as a percentage of improper payments. Now, the senator from Senator from Fairfield told us last week that there's a trip to Myrtle Beach, I believe, a trip to Myrtle Beach and over 100. Well, first of all, that costs a lot of money, and I know there's federal funds. I know they get a percentage of the unemployment taxes that they use for administrative costs. I don't think we ever wanted them to use those for these trips. But here's what I want to know. Kentucky, 2012, South Carolina doled out 13.83% in improper payments. Kentucky is number one in the nation. Their fraudulent claims were 4.48%. And I'm just curious, why didn't they take a trip to Kentucky to find out how they're doing it up there? That would have been a good idea. I would have been okay with that travel expense. Let's go to states that know what they're doing. Why didn't they go to Massachusetts, who used this private vendor and found all kinds of fraudulent claims? And
Senator from Fairfield, for what purpose do you rise?
If the senator from Anderson would yield to some questions.
Sure, I'd be glad
Senator
to.
yields.
Be glad to.
And you're aware that that was a conference down in Myrtle Beach this past weekend. Are you aware of that?
I knew it was either coming up soon or in the past. I didn't catch the date, but
And they went down to Kingston Plantation.
Kingstree Plantation.
Kingston Plantation.
Kingston Plantation. That's not a budget hotel, I don't believe, is it?
No. You're also aware that they, in May 13th through 15th, are going on a second retreat.
In May, where are they going? To
Weston Hilton Head Island.
Weston Hilton Head Island. Wow.
Right. And
Wow. I wish our employers could travel like this, but since they're broke with all these taxes, they can't afford to.
But what gets me is, are you aware that the very reason of all 17 offices where the unemployment assistance was taken away are rural counties? Are you aware of that?
I was aware of that. You were speaking on that last week, and I was paying close attention. I appreciate you. I was aware of it, but I appreciate you bringing some more attention to it.
But what gets me, why can't we cut out some of these seminars and some of this fraud and keep some of these people in the rural areas to help our unemployed instead of requiring people in Fairfield County to come to Richland County, Chester County to go to Lancaster County?
Here's what I'm wondering. If you come across a constituent in Fairfield County and they say, I sure am glad I found a job because they went to Myrtle Beach and they went in Hilton Head and that helped me find a job, I don't think you're getting that answer, are you?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
And are you aware just the other day, Friday, I had an unemployed worker come to my office, and he rides a bicycle.
Wow.
That's how he gets around. And he's saying that they want him to ride a bicycle from Winsboro to Columbia to get assistance. That's 25 miles.
Senator, I believe that'd be impossible with the size of the roads. You wouldn't want to get on a
Well,
bicycle.
if he could do that, Lance Armstrong better get out the way.
That's right. That's a good point.
Senator
That's
from
a good
Oconee,
point.
what purpose do you rise?
See if the senator would respond to a question.
Yes, sir,
Senator
Mr.
Yield.
Chairman. Be
Yield
glad
for a
to.
question. Thank you. Thank you, and appreciate the information. Did you know I appreciate the information you provided? Don't you agree that is the reason that this agency and all agencies need proper oversight, not just on a limited basis, but on an ongoing basis from that standpoint to see how they're responding?
Yes, sir, Senator. I do believe that we have a responsibility to the taxpayer. And in this case, the taxpayer are the employers. And they need to be number one in my book, and I would think, Senator, you would too, because they can't, if these 3 years of improper payments would probably average about a 10% or maybe 15% in tax reduction for our employers, where they could actually afford to hire people and get people off the unemployment rolls.
And don't you agree that with the oversight of the subcommittee that you chair, that y'all have that opportunity to look into this to make sure that going forward we're toward the Kentucky side of being successful in this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Senator from Oconee, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on that subcommittee. We find things like this, and
Senator from Spartanburg, what purpose do you rise?
I just rise. I know the senator's time is up, and I was going to rise on a point of personal interest.
my time up, Mr. President.
Your time is now up, sir.
Thank you, members of the Senate. I've got some more information that I'm gathering that maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday, I'll be sharing with you. Thank you,
Senator
Mr.
from
President.
Spartanburg is recognized on a point of personal interest.